Alright guys, welcome to RC Mojo. This week we've got something new. The box doesn't give away too much unless you're already familiar with the manufacturer, in which case you can probably guess what's in the box. Now then, I've done lots of research on these, but this will be my first time hands-on. No doubt some of you will know more than me, and that's just fine. In fact, if you see me miss something, pop it in the comments. Here we are then, a Heng Long Tiger I. First of all, yes, it's a toy tank. Usually I wouldn't bother with toy grade RCs, but if you look around there's a huge aftermarket for them. If you're careful you can put together a model that's not too far off a Tamiya tank for a fair bit less money. This particular one is the Pro Motion version, the usual 27 meg radio but with the addition of metal tracks and gearboxes. I went for this as the difference in cost was quite a bit less than getting a standard model and separate metal tracks later, and the gearboxes of course are just a bonus. It was a bit of a battle getting it out of the box. It's packed in old school polystyrene, packed well but not as friendly as cardboard. First out is the charger. Actually, it's not a charger, it's a 500 milliamp supply. It would take roughly 4 hours to charge a flat pack, but it's not peak detecting, so charging a partially charged pack won't do it any good, and if you forget to take it off charge, it'll cook the battery. Best use for this is to cut the lead off and throw the thing in the bin. Next is the battery, a 1700 milliamp hour NiCad. It's a bit on the vintage side, but it'll get the tank going. And of course any other 6-cell NiCad or NiMi will work just as well. A box of 6mm BBs. They're plastic, so if you use them outside you'll need to find them so you don't choke some unsuspecting animal or something. Getting a pack of biodegradable BBs is the way to go. They break down quickly, and if the velocity is high enough, I'm not sure with this tank, they'll break up on impact. Here's the transmitter, and well, it's got two 2-axis gimbals that feel very, very cheap, and a couple of buttons. That'll have to go at some point, but that's not quite as easy as it sounds. There's a box of accessory parts with the machine gun muzzle loose. Guess it fell out the bag, lucky it didn't get lost. Some smoke oil. There's not a huge amount there, but the wick only needs to be damp with it, so it should last quite a while. Some moulded tools and bits, quite basic, but pretty good for a toy I reckon. A small pair of headphones. Here's the commander, in green. The arms are articulated, which is nice, but it's put together really quite badly. There's a gap between the halves, and of course he's going to need some paint. The rear mud flaps, not sure how long they're going to last. I think these are supposed to be smoke launchers. The moulding's a bit rough, but they'll clean up okay. And here's the sticks for the transmitter. They just press in. Doesn't really do anything for the quality feel. And there's a small bit of sticky foam for sticking something to the tank. Not entirely sure what. One more bag of bits. First out we have a target. Neat. Looks like it's die cut and supposed to just press out, but the die didn't cut all the way through, so that'll need some scissors. The manual, which actually looks quite well presented. Can't imagine we're going to need it all that much though. Some more plastic accessories. Looks like one of the locating posts has broken off. There's a couple of bits, some short thin cable and 2 thick cables with some brown sticks. This is where I'd wish I'd done some more research on the real Tiger. Right, I suppose that just leaves the tank. It slides out okay, but you end up with lots of little bits of polystyrene everywhere. We'll be picking it out of the detailed bits for ages. Behind the tank is the receiver antenna. Not seen one like this for a few years. The doors on the top of the turret open, one for the commander and the other one reveals a switch. The turret is a little bit wobbly on the hull, it feels a bit naff I have to say. The road wheels are of course plastic and a bit loose fitting, but they are all suspended on swing arms with small scissor springs. A bit basic, but for a toy it's far ahead of what was around when I was a bit younger. The battery bay is on the bottom under a cover with a rather nice sprung retainer. That actually feels very solid. There's a couple of switches down here, one marked A, B, C, not sure what that does, and what appears to be the main on-off switch. Would have been nice to have the bottom of the hull solid, so mud and stuff doesn't get in, but remember, it's a toy. Okay, power. The transmitter needs 8 AA cells, another good reason to get rid of it. The transmitter also has an annoying issue. The moulding is obviously reused from a very old design. That means, although the 8 AA cells fit, the radio probably won't power up. You see, modern AA cells aren't quite the same shape they were 20 or so years ago. They're slightly bigger and the nub on the top is a little bit shorter. Somewhere in there's a gap between cells. Usually though, if you roll the cells round a bit, they'll settle and the radio will spring into life. Still not brilliant though, as a knock could break the circuit, maybe while you're driving the tank, which wouldn't be good. On the tank we need to fit the receiver antenna. At the bottom it's formed into a spring which fits over a little brass post on the back of the tank. If you're going to use the supplied battery, it's going to need charging, preferably on a proper hobby charger, but I just happen to have another pack that was charged this morning. It's got the good old Tamiya connector, so it'll just plug straight in. The long lead is a bit of a tight fit to cram in there, but it does go. Here we go then, transmitter on first, then the tank on. Should probably read what the other switches do, but that's no fun. Okay, we have flashing headlights, but nothing works. Well, the tank has engine sound, so maybe we have to start the engine, which looks like it may be this button with what could be an engine on it. Well, that's noisy. And that wasn't me. So the left stick is the turret. And shoot, apparently. That's the elevation, which cycles up and down. Fair enough. Direction is on the right stick then. There's a massive deadband. Crikey. But it is at least, to a degree, proportional. The exhaust seem to be smoking well. That will be what the noisy motor's doing then. So the K button shoots without firing the BB, and G shoots the machine gun. But the noise of the engine dying was largely drowned out by the smoke motor. Nice. So that's the tank tested, time to fit all the accessory bits. The mud flaps just sit in hooks on the rear panel. They don't clip in, so if they lift up too far they kind of get hung up. Not sure what you could do about that. Having them pop out will probably save them if they get caught in the scenery. The thin cable moulding fits into one of the sides. The posts press fit into the holes, which amazingly are actually in the right place. I reckon it would be a good idea to use a bit of glue on these posts, but I'm planning on doing some detailing, so for now I'm just going to leave them as a friction fit. The smoke launchers clip into the front of the turret, one on each side. The tools next, and we have an interesting thing. There's a shovel with the handle and head separate, all nicely painted, but it's not supposed to be in two parts. Yes, we have a defect part that made it through the manufacturing process and QC. This is what it's supposed to look like. Oh well, I was going to replace them anyway. There's a small shovel that goes up under the turret. In front of that is an axe. Then there's some sort of little box, a hammer to the right, and some sort of clippers to the left. Here's the machine gun muzzle. It's just clear plastic that's been painted black. It presses into the hole in the dome. Tow cables next, whose mounting posts don't fit into the holes. You could trim the post down a bit, but it's easier just to drill out the holes a bit if you have the right size bits. I found a 1.9 and a 2mm were just right to get a nice friction fit. With all the accessories on, it's starting to look quite a bit better. Still a bit basic, but it's a start. Commander next, he's supposed to sit in the turret with the door open, but with the door open he doesn't actually fit, his left arm gets in the way. Luckily though, the cupola isn't glued on, so it's easy to lift off and turn so the commander fits. Nice. Some of the sticky foam on the bottom and he can stick in. Still needs painting, but that's going to come later. Also, with the accessories are some plastic shackles. They only clip on, so they're not functional. There's 2 on the front and 2 on the back. Well, looking good. The only bits left are the transfers. But since there's a good chance I'm going to be painting it, there's not much point in putting them on yet. There we go then, one Heng Long Tiger I. It's not brilliant. In a few places the quality really isn't good. But if you shop around you can find one with the metal tracks for a price that really balances things out. And remember, it's really a toy grade RC. It far, far surpasses anything that was available when I was a lad, and if someone had given me this for Christmas, I would have been the happiest kid around. So I was flipping through the manual and noticed the hopper for the BBs is under the commander's cupola. So if you stick the commander in, it's a right pain to feed them in. Clever design there. Might have to do something with magnets. Or just stick him somewhere else. Oh, and on the back of the manual is a rather interesting description of the Tiger and the model. There's some really great bits, like the third sales point is that it's emulational music, simulative motor startup sound, engine sound, machine gun sound, and cannonball sound, and smoking function. Let the manipulator is personally on the scene. Good that. I suppose there's one more thing to do. Shoot a BB. It's not going to be a fair test at a range of about 12 inches. It's really not going to tell us much. But here goes anyway. Well, it seems to have a bit of force behind it. It will get a better test when we can get some bio BBs and fire some shots off outside. Okay, well, that'll have to do for today. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, do please hit the thumbs up, and if you're not already, why not subscribe? It's free after all. Bye guys.